Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we're going to be exploring a new space on Battleship New Jersey. This is the former chemical warfare locker. We are on third deck, right by turret number 1, and we're currently on the port side of the ship. I'm facing aft with the camera looking forward, and this space does go port to starboard. So it's more or less midships at the forward extent of turret 1's bulkhead. And one cool thing here, we're in the trunk right now. This trunk continues to go down to access more of the magazine spaces associated with turret 1. But this right here is the forward armored bulkhead of Iowa-class battleships. So we are inside the armored citadel. If I go up that ladder and then down on the other side, I am in a space that is outside of the armored citadel. So pretty cool that we can see this interior armor. There aren't many places in the ship where you can see it. This is the armor plating that is 11 inches thick on Iowa and New Jersey and about 14.5 inches thick on the later Iowa-class battleships. But this is to protect us from shells that come through the nose of the ship heading aft towards the magazines. Interesting feature here. This plate at the bottom is completely different on the aft armored bulkhead than it is up here on the forward armored bulkhead. But remember, they don't quite trust welding yet. And we're on the inside of the armored plate, the non-face hardened side. And I can't remember if the forward and aft bulkheads are face hardened Class A or just homogeneous Class B. But regardless, on the back side, it is not hardened, so you can weld to it. So this plate here, which I believe is what attaches third deck that I'm standing on to the forward armored bulkhead, is not only welded to the bulkhead where you would normally weld a plate, but they've intentionally cut these holes in the plate so that they can weld it in all of these places as well. And remember, these are gold-plated ships. They pulled out every single stop, even though that is far more time-consuming and complex. And they really don't trust welding yet when they're building this ship. So, this space was originally a 40 millimeter magazine, and it was used as such in the 40s and 50s. When the ship is reactivated for Vietnam, it gets converted into the chemical warfare storage space, and then it's continued to be used as that throughout the 1980s. It seems like when the ship was decommissioned, one of the divisions used this as their storage area. Now, remember we did a video a couple of weeks ago that we'll link in the description down below, where we found one of these storage areas locked up, and we found a document that talks about how each division had their own. So this seems to be a lot of engineering stuff, particularly for the repair parties. So this might be where the damage control folks stored all of their critical things. And some things are like the manuals that they need when they're reactivating the ship. Some things are like the shoring timber mauls, which I would think are less critical, but locked them up down here nonetheless. There's a fun little bit of graffiti here. Who do you think the big enemy was in the 1980s? So really, this is just a bunch of probably 1960s era installed shelving. The 40 millimeter magazine would have had a completely different set of shelving. I don't see any indication of the old magazine sprinkler system or magazine chilled water radiator system that was often in magazine spaces. But this would have been individual 40 millimeter rounds in cans rather than clipped ammo. So it would go onto a hoist, and I believe that this, which has been repurposed as a shelving unit, is part of the remnants of that old hoist. And you throw the ammo into the hoist, it goes up to a clipping room, and then it's put into the 4-round clips in those clipping rooms and then passed to the guns themselves or put in the ready service lockers. So you can see some of the remnants of the dehumidification system that was installed in here. Just goes over to the doorway, so it would have probably come down that trunk. And then course, the elephant in the room, this is the barbette that turret 1 sits on. This is cool. Any of you guys like those libraries with the sliding ladders? We don't have one, but it does have hooks on it, so to get to the stuff on these shelves, because up forward here, the deck curves considerably. Third deck that we're standing on does not do that. So there is just a lot more room on these third deck spaces forward, where second deck and the main deck are curving up. So they've got room for extra shelving, but then you need a ladder to access it. This stuff is cool. This is where all of the damage control plates were stored. So they removed it all from wherever it would have been throughout the ship, and they brought it down here and stowed it when the ship was decommissioned. So these are not only classified when the ship is taken out of service, but also very critical to operating the ship, especially to a ship like New Jersey that focuses on damage control. So any of these plates that you see out on the tour route, those racks where they were completely empty, and we've had to come down here, recover them, and put them out where they go. Interestingly, there is a gusset plate here. So while we saw that the deck to the forward bulkhead was welded in place, this deck is actually riveted together. There's 2 plates next to each other and then a gusset over top that's got the rivets holding those 2 plates together. Makes the floor uneven. And coming back in this direction, we've just got some random DC equipment on these shelves. Some shoring braces, plumbing flanges, and it looks like that's just about everything. The aft end of this space is completely bulkheaded over, so you've got to go up, back, and then back down again to access the other spaces on that side of the Citadel. Medical is back there, as well as all of the magazine spaces for Turret 1 and Turret 2. So this space is cool because they reuse it over the ship's career. Obviously, when the 40 millimeters go away, the original intended design purpose of this space is no longer functional. But the ship does face new threats like chemical warfare, so they're able to repurpose this room. What are some other spaces you can think of on the ship that were repurposed? Let us know in the comment section down below. If we haven't covered them in a video already, we might cover them in a future one. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to continue donating to support the ship. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the ship and the museum. Thanks for watching.